Hello and welcome to the special broadcast of Swades Foundation's Swa Se Bane Des, an initiative towards rural empowerment. I'm Niranjan, and in this two-part series, we will bring to you some amazing stories of transformation in rural Maharashtra by the Swades Foundation. The key objective of this show is not only to highlight the problems that rural India faces and how Swades is creating a large-scale impact through best practices, modern technology, and values. Now, the purpose is also to encourage you all, everyone, to be a part of the change by participating in this movement in whichever way possible. But before moving on further, let's take a look at this amazing story of economic empowerment from a tiny village in Raigad, Maharashtra.
The lack of livelihood options in the Gawadi village of Raigad meant that Ramchandra Sutar, like many others, must migrate to the city. Ramchandra tried his hand at carpentry and later started a tire puncture repair shop as well, but it wasn't enough to support his family financially. It was around this time when he was contemplating to relocate when someone introduced him to the Swades Foundation. With the help of Swades, Ramchandra now has one of the best plantation plots in the area. He has also created a subsidiary source of income through Swades's multiple economic development programs like goat rearing and poultry. He is happy that he no longer needs to leave his village and aspires to expand his business even more.
आम्हाला झाडं लागवडी करायचं आम्हाला मार्गदर्शन केल्यामुळे आम्ही ते मनावर घेऊन झाडं लागवड केली. नंतर मग ड्रिप इरिगेशन करून दिलं. ते ओलावा जास्त असल्यामुळे मग इंटरक्रॉपिंगला मग आम्ही हळद लागवड केली. तर त्यांनी सांगितलं कुक्कुटपालनचा व्यवसाय करा. त्याच्यामध्ये सोलर बसवल्यापासून माझं जे उत्पन्न वाढलं म्हणजे 70-80 हजार रुपये उत्पन्न होतं. त्यास माझं 3-3.5 लाख रुपये उत्पन्न वाढले.
Ramchandra's story of transformation is just not a one-off story. One can witness such stories of economic empowerment across the villages of Raigad. A few kilometers from Gawadi is the village of Zanjekond, where Sharmila Zanje runs the real Konkan cashew business.
2016 मध्ये स्वदेश फाउंडेशन आमच्या गावामध्ये आलं. त्यांनी आमच्यासाठी एक मोठी रोजगाराची संधी उपलब्ध करून दिली, ते म्हणजे काजू प्रकल्प. सुरुवातीला आम्ही एक छोटासा ड्रायर घेतला होता आणि जो मटेरियल यायचा तो आम्ही ड्राय करून साफ करून पॅकिंग करून द्यायचो. आता आम्हाला स्वदेश फाउंडेशनने मोठी कंपनी उभी करून दिलेली आहे. ती संधी आम्हाला स्वदेशने दिल्याबद्दल मी त्यांचे आभारी आहे. आणि माझ्यासोबतच माझ्या ज्या भगिनी आहेत त्यांना सुद्धा रोजगाराची संधी इथे मिळालेली आहे.
Swades Foundation, through its economic development program, has empowered more than 40,000 households, helping villages become Atmanirbhar and providing the villagers with a comfortable yet financially viable way of living.
And those were some of the most amazing stories of transformation we just witnessed. Creating a livelihood is the best way to empower someone to lead a life of respect and happiness. And that's not all. Since its inception in 2013, the Swades Foundation has expanded its empowerment program to over 2,700 hamlets and villages, touching over 7.5 lakh people from over 1.5 lakh households. That's a transformation that's permanent, empowers the community to act independently and take charge of their lives. Today we have with us in the studio, in the Republic TV studios in Mumbai, the co-founders of Swades Foundation, Mr. Ronnie Screwvala, to my left, a man who wears many hats, from cable television to media conglomerates to producing some of the most iconic movies in India to entrepreneurship and leading it. He's done it all. Zarina to my right here, Zarina Screwvala is also the co-founder of Swades Foundation. We also have with us in our studios Mr. Mangesh Wange, who's the CEO of Swades Foundation. Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome, Ronnie. Welcome, Zarina.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you. Pleasure to host. And let me start with you. Ronnie, what is the genesis of Swades Foundation when you and Zarina came up with it? What made you think about working towards rural empowerment? Why did you think we needed it?
So a quick step back before that. Swades Foundation, actually we're celebrating our 10th year in the Christening of the Swades Foundation at the scale at which we're operating. But the life goes beyond that to about 30 years back when we had just formed our media company UTV. And at that stage, we said at some stage, I don't know, maybe it's our Parsi genes, that there's always an element of wanting to give back. So actually, Swades in a thought process and a germ started 30 years back. We entered the rural place of Raigad almost about 25 years back. But the real scale of Swades has been in the last decade. I think in the beginning, it was more about being opportunistic about giving back and then looking at rural India. The real Swades aha moment for us was really where we spent about a year researching and talking to about 400 different foundations and NGOs, including some very inspirational ones in Bangladesh. And from that, we brought in our model, wearing, I think, our entrepreneurial media brand hat also, to say we wanted to look at a holistic model. So I think what you've described in your introduction really spells it out. A holistic area where we want to make impact across everything that affects people's life, with the holy grail being livelihood to sort of empower them.
Let me take that forward, and my question is to Mangesh. Talking about livelihoods, right? And that's the most important for people, especially in rural India. How does Swades strategize in creating ample opportunities for livelihoods in these villages where it seemed almost impossible?
Yeah, so we have a special program and approach for that. We call it Samruddha Kutum, that is prosperous family. And that is very well designed. It takes care of 360-degree approach. By looking at first starting with understanding their challenges, their aspirations, and then based on their resources and their situation, we go back to them, and we have designed this program on livelihoods under 3 broad heads. On farm is all our programs which we offer to any rural poor household, which is around their land and water resources. Then there are people who do not have land or very small piece of land. There we have to think of those activities which are off farm. And third is people who are not keen to do agriculture or related farm. Then we have non-farm, which is skilling and entrepreneurship, and that's where large part of our focus is on rural women also through SHGs.
Fantastic. And before I come to Zarina, we have a very special message from Vidya Balan. Let's quickly listen in to what she has to say about the initiative. She's also been very closely associated with both Ronnie and Zarina, has actively participated in this drive as well. Vidya Balan.
I really admire Ronnie and Zarina for the absolute passion with which they started and with which they're committed to the Swades initiative. You know, a lot of people do a lot of charity or contribute towards development programs, and that's wonderful, more power to them. But I think I'm really inspired by the fact that Ronnie and Zarina are personally involved, you know, and the Swades initiative is a 360-degree holistic model, you know, which addresses healthcare, education, water, sanitation, livelihoods, and really the core of it is sustainability. So I think it's not just enough to have the resources. One, you have to be able to have the heart to share that with people, and then to give it the right direction. I think which is what Ronnie and Zarina are doing with Swades, and which is why they're seeing such excellent results.
So very inspiring words there from Vidya Balan. Now to Zarina. Zarina, you've been talking about creating the dream village in India. What is this dream village? I mean, all of us have had a stint and we've seen the difficulties that people in rural India go through. And how does a dream village operate? If you can tell our viewers that.
So Niranjan, a dream village is one where we have been working for many years, firstly. And we have worked very hard to transform both the physical assets, but most important, a dream village is one in which the villagers themselves are empowered to take their dreams forward. They are taking charge of their own change through multiple methods, okay? One being the Village Development Committee, which is comprised of an equal number of men and women. So women are also leading the change. And in a dream village, we have created, along with the community, and most important to say, it's not our dream, it is the community's dream. Correct. But it is also our dream. There are 40 very stringent parameters, very difficult to achieve things. And these dream villages are well on their way. They have achieved more than 70% of these parameters. It could include drinking water on a tap. It could be Aadhaar cards for everybody, bank accounts for everybody, things like that, difficult things to do. And the most important thing also is, Niranjan, they're not all dependent on Swades. We train the community to go to the government and access for themselves.
Yes.
So they go and they do that, and there's an amazing sense of fulfillment. These dream villages are like, lighthouses. They help others to create VDCs, they inspire others. And for us, that is a very beautiful thing. And this year, as a gift for our 75th year of independence of India, of our country, we have created 75 dream villages.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And speaking about dream villages, one such hamlet is Angrekond in Mahad, which is now transforming and is transformed into a dream village. Take a look at this amazing story of transformation.
The small hamlet of Angrekond in Raigad was devoid of the very basic amenities like drinking water, sanitation, and even opportunities of livelihood. The villagers had to walk a minimum of 2 hours to fetch a pot of drinking water. There were no toilets, making it even harder for the women. The everyday tussle of the very basic amenity like water and sanitation left the people of Angrekond with no time for anything else.
या आमच्या गावामध्ये खूप वाईट अवस्था होती. महिलांना शौचालयासाठी उघड्यावर रस्त्यावर बसण्याची वेळ होती आणि आमच्या सर्व महिलांना पाण्यासाठी 2-2 तास दूरवर जायला लागायचं.
With the help of Swades Foundation, all the houses in the village received drinking water in their homes through taps. The solution to the water problem started showing a positive ripple effect. With more free time in hand, the women of the village started engaging in livelihood activities, thus elevating them financially as well.
स्वदेशनं पहिलं पाऊल माझ्या आंगरेवाडीत टाकलं तेव्हा भरीव काम असं पाण्यावर केलं. त्याच्यानंतर आम्हाला महिलांना मोकळा वेळ मिळू लागला. तर आता काय करायचं म्हणून आम्ही 3 महिला बचत गट तयार केले आणि महिला बचत गटाच्या माध्यमातून आम्ही व्यवसाय चालू केले.
With Swades's effort, the deprived hamlet of Angrekond is now a dream village, which boasts of a Swachh, Swasth, Sundar, Sakshar and a Samruddh community. The people of Angrekond now aspire for a greater future, and leading the way for development are the women of the hamlet.
Well, this is an Atmanirbhar Bharat mission personified, and this is a model which we believe needs to be replicated across rural India. And on that note, we'll slip into a short break, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special broadcast on Republic TV. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the special broadcast of Swades Foundation's Swa Se Bane Desh in association with Republic TV. And before we go back to the conversation with Ronnie Screwvala, Zarina Screwvala and Mr. Mangesh Wange, let's listen in to Devendra Fadnavis, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, on the Swades Foundation's model of development and the government association in spreading this movement across Maharashtra.
सर्वप्रथम मैं स्वदेश फाउंडेशन को 75 गांवों को ड्रीम विलेज में रूपांतरित करने के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं और इस उपलब्धि के लिए उनका अभिनंदन भी करता हूं। स्वदेश फाउंडेशन ने देश के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव के अवसर पर 75 गांवों को ड्रीम विलेज यानी सपनों का गांव घोषित किया है। संपूर्ण विकसित राष्ट्र और आत्मनिर्भर भारत के संकल्पित दिशा में रखा हुआ यह एक सराहनीय और सकारात्मक कदम है। देश के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का भी गांव के विकास के प्रति बहुत आग्रह है। स्वच्छ भारत के तहत खुले में शौच से मुक्त भारत बनाने के लिए उन्होंने कई कदम उठाए। महाराष्ट्र ने भी इस पर जोर देकर 2019 में ही खुले में शौच मुक्त महाराष्ट्र बनने का मकाम हासिल किया है। इस काम में भी स्वदेश फाउंडेशन का योगदान रहा है। भारत को अगर आत्मनिर्भर होना है तो गांव का विकास एक जरूरी कदम है। इसलिए 2019 में हमने और रॉनी तथा श्रीमती जरीन स्क्रूवाला इन्होंने एक आशय पत्र साक्षांकित कर महाराष्ट्र के गांवों का चेहरा बदलने का प्रण किया था। आज उसके फलस्वरूप 75 गांव परिवर्तित हुए हैं। यह सिलसिला यूं ही अन्य गांवों के लिए भी चलता रहे, इसके लिए मैं अपनी शुभकामनाएं प्रेषित करता हूं। स्वदेश फाउंडेशन के सभी उपक्रमों को मैं ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र।
Well, those were some really encouraging words from the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. Let me come back to Ronnie. Ronnie, you've just completed 75 dream villages that Zarina spoke of at India's 75th independence anniversary, and the immediate goal is to get to 750, is what we are learning. Now, tell us about the vision of the scale at which Swades Foundation is operating.
I think we're trying to keep pace with the nation building and the pace the nation itself has set for nation building. So I think as we're moving forward, today if you look at almost anyone in the world, they're actually looking at India in a very strong way of how we're setting examples. For us, actually, impact at scale in a country like India is one of the most important things. And therefore, while we think of the 1 to 0 to 75, we have to start thinking of the rest. So as you started by saying, we're in about 2,700 villages. The element is, as Zaina said, the minute we have 75 lighthouses, they shine the torch on 10 more. And therefore, the 750 to us is a road that is actually scripted out from that perspective, because that's the model. We get our people to come together and take it to the next level.
What we really want to do is we want to create a model for rural development. Our dream is not, it's a big dream, okay? I mean, we want to lift 1 million people out of poverty every 5 years. It has been a huge struggle just to reach the 7.5 lakh population, okay? And that is just touching them, okay? Beginning to touch them. It's a huge effort, but the key and the core is to create this model of development. You have no idea how many failures we've had and how much tweaking we've done, and we've really struggled along with our communities to make this model work. And today I can say, after these 10 years, I think we have a model that works.
I hope that your foundation goes beyond Maharashtra. Before I come to you, Mr. Mangesh, we have a message from Harsh Mariwala, the founder and chairman of Marico. He's also a board member at the Swades Foundation. Let's listen into what he has to say about the association he shares with Swades and the importance of such an initiative.
I have been associated with Swades Foundation for more than 5 years now, and I must say that I think what they've been able to achieve is truly something which is very unique, because it involves overall development of rural villages. And when I joined the organization, they were only covering one taluka. It is very difficult to make an overall impact, because their model is a holistic model which covers education, healthcare, agriculture, livelihoods and entrepreneurs. And all of them at one level are interconnected. So the first job in going to any village, especially for urbanites, is to get yourself accepted. Who is Swades? Who is Ronnie Screwvala? What can they do to us which will be beneficial to us? So it's a long journey, and I must say that I think they have not only perfected one village or one taluka, but now they've extended themselves to 11 talukas. And this is something which is, I think, which is a very proud moment for Swades. And more importantly, I see the potential to extend this model on an all India basis.
Well, that was Harsh Mariwala, a fantastic story that he too shares, right? And he has very correctly pointed out the huge impact that this movement is creating in rural India. Coming back to you, Mr. Mangesh, you've been at the helm of driving this project on the ground. If you could tell our viewers today a little bit about the process, starting with identification of problems to looking at what a hamlet needs and the kind of problems or challenges that you may have faced on the ground while bringing about this change that both Ronnie and Zarina are speaking about.
Sure, Niranjan. So we follow a 4E strategy at Swades, and 4E stands for first engage, then empower, execute and exit. And this is the actually formula for us to make this process happen on ground. And specifically, how this 4E converts onto ground is through this VDC, Village Development Committee, which earlier Zarina mentioned, is a group of volunteers on ground from the village, and they need to be given this entire piece of training and capacity building. But important part in this is 4E is first one, the engagement. And that's where huge effort and time goes, where we have to understand their problem, build that mutual trust and understanding, and create that belief. And this is beautifully done by Village Development Committee.
In urban, we take it for granted. You know, we form a cooperative society. The builder hands over.
Correct.
There's an institution or a committee that takes care of it. You form a club.
Yes.
Imagine a club working without a committee and every member walking in.
Yes.
Or a city without a municipal commissioner or a municipal or a support structure. So we take that for granted in urban, but actually each village has its own nucleus. And I think that substitution is, again, as Zarina said, it's part of our model building, because if people understand that that is the epicenter that actually perpetuates what we want to do, I think the message will go through.
When is it that you decided that it's time to exit, if I can just...
So we haven't exited yet. It takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
But the dream villages are the beginning of the exit. They are the beginning of the exit strategy.
Fantastic stories. Well, I have to confess that very few times we get to share such stories on mainstream media. And it's been fantastic hearing the kind of stories that all of you have to share. With this, we come to the end of this episode. The face of rural Maharashtra is changing thanks to the massive work being done by the Swades Foundation. What we witnessed today was just a small part of the bigger change that's being implemented by the team of Swades. And in the next episode of Swades Foundation's Swa Se Bane Des, we will discuss some of the most challenging issues like healthcare, water, and sanitation. You know that these are some of the problems that need immediate attention in rural India. And I'm curious to know how an NGO is creating a sustainable impact on these critical issues on such a large scale. We will discuss this and more in the next episode. Thanks to Ronnie, Zarina, and Mangesh for joining us. Stay tuned to Republic TV for more updates.